Hu Jintao was born on December 21, 1942, in the city of Taizhou in Jiangsu Province, China, during a turbulent era when the country was still grappling with the effects of Japanese occupation and civil conflict between the Kuomintang and Communist forces. His family background was modest. His father ran a small tea shop, which provided a modest livelihood but not great wealth. Hu's early life was shaped by both hardship and discipline. His father was later persecuted during the Cultural Revolution due to his association with business, which the communist regime frowned upon, and this family experience left a quiet but lasting impact on Hu's reserved personality. As a boy, Hu was noted for being diligent, intelligent, and introverted, qualities that would later characterize his political persona. Unlike some of his contemporaries who displayed fiery oratorical skills or a flamboyant nature, Hu was quiet and methodical even as a child. His early years were filled with the political turbulence of China in the 1940s and 1950s, which instilled in him an understanding of instability and the importance of order, a theme that would become central in his later governance. He grew up in a time when loyalty to the communist cause became central for survival, and this shaped his early worldview. Education became the primary pathway for Hu to rise beyond his modest background. He attended Beijing's prestigious Tsinghua University, one of the most elite institutions in China, where he studied hydraulic engineering. Engineering was a highly respected discipline at the time, considered crucial for building the new socialist nation, and it gave Hu a technical and pragmatic way of thinking. At Tsinghua, Hu distinguished himself as a hard-working and disciplined student, although he was not particularly well known for socializing or being outspoken. His involvement in campus organizations, particularly in the Communist Youth League, helped him demonstrate loyalty to the party while also building important networks. The Communist Youth League became an incubator for his political career. It was there that Hu showed the ability to quietly but effectively manage responsibilities, rising through the ranks with little fanfare. While at Tsinghua, he also met Liu Yongqing, who would later become his wife. The two married and went on to have 2 children. His university years coincided with the early years of the Cultural Revolution, which disrupted education and careers across the country. Hu managed to avoid being derailed, in part due to his cautious nature and his ability to align himself with party expectations without drawing undue attention. After graduation in 1965, he stayed on at Tsinghua as a political instructor, a position that allowed him to further demonstrate his loyalty to the Communist Party while continuing to hone his organizational skills. Unlike many who suffered severely during the Cultural Revolution, Hu maintained a steady trajectory, largely because of his discretion and adaptability. He later joined the Communist Party in 1964, a step that ensured his career path was firmly aligned with the party system. His early career also included work on construction projects in Gansu Province, a remote and underdeveloped area, which tested his endurance and shaped his image as a leader who was willing to serve in difficult conditions. Hu's political rise was gradual but steady, marked by careful cultivation of party trust. In the 1980s, he held several important positions in Gansu, where he impressed senior leaders with his organizational discipline. His work in the Communist Youth League caught the attention of party leadership, particularly Hu Yaobang, then the General Secretary of the Communist Party, who mentored him and saw in him a disciplined and reliable figure. Hu Jintao became one of the youngest provincial governors in modern Chinese history when he was appointed to lead Gansu Province in 1985 at just 42 years old. This appointment was a major milestone, as it showcased the party's confidence in his leadership at a relatively young age. His tenure in Gansu and later in Tibet marked him as a reliable administrator who could be trusted with sensitive tasks. In Tibet, where he served as party secretary from 1988, he was responsible for implementing strict controls following unrest and demonstrations. His handling of Tibet, though controversial internationally, earned him credibility within the party as someone capable of maintaining order in challenging circumstances. In the 1990s, Hu's reputation for loyalty, caution, and discipline made him a leading candidate for higher office as Deng Xiaoping and subsequent leaders looked for younger figures to groom as successors. By 1992, he was elevated to the Politburo Standing Committee, the highest decision-making body in China, making him one of the youngest ever to achieve that position. For the next decade, he worked quietly in the shadow of senior leaders, never seeking the spotlight but always reinforcing his image as a consensus figure without personal controversy. In 2002, Hu Jintao succeeded Jiang Zemin as General Secretary of the Communist Party, later becoming President of China and Chairman of the Central Military Commission, making him the paramount leader of the country. His leadership, often described as the era of collective leadership, contrasted with both his predecessors and successors. He avoided a strong cult of personality and instead emphasized party unity, harmony, and stability. His political philosophy was encapsulated in the concept of the scientific outlook on development, which stressed sustainable development, social harmony, and balanced growth rather than the single-minded focus on GDP increases. Under his leadership, China experienced remarkable economic growth, continuing its transformation into the world's second-largest economy, while also facing growing inequality, corruption, and environmental degradation. Internationally, Hu oversaw China's rise as a global power, with China hosting the 2008 Beijing Olympics as a symbol of its new global status. His cautious style helped China navigate the 2008 global financial crisis relatively unscathed, further cementing China's reputation as an economic powerhouse. However, his era was also criticized for being overly conservative, with limited political reform and continued restrictions on freedom of expression and dissent. His government maintained tight control over the internet and cracked down on dissidents, ensuring the party's grip on power remained unchallenged. Hu left office in 2012, handing over leadership to Xi Jinping in what was then seen as a smooth and orderly transition of power. After retirement, Hu stepped away from the public eye, rarely making political statements and maintaining a low profile, consistent with his personality and political style. In later years, he occasionally appeared at party events, including the 20th Party Congress in 2022, where his unexpected departure from the hall made global headlines, though Chinese authorities downplayed the incident. Hu Jintao's legacy is that of a leader who prioritized stability, consensus, and steady growth over dramatic reforms or bold initiatives. He represented a period in Chinese politics often viewed as more restrained compared to the assertiveness of his successor, Xi Jinping. While his administration oversaw tremendous economic achievements, critics argue that it failed to address systemic corruption, social inequality, and environmental degradation adequately. Yet for many in China, Hu remains a symbol of a leadership style that valued collective governance and low-key authority rather than concentrated power in one individual. His personal life also reflected this modesty. He never cultivated the grand image that some leaders do, preferring to live quietly with his wife and family. Hu's career demonstrated how discipline, loyalty, and discretion could propel a modest young man from Jiangsu to the pinnacle of power in the world's most populous nation. His biography reflects the trajectory of the Chinese Communist Party itself: cautious, disciplined, pragmatic, and determined to maintain order while pursuing economic modernization. Hu Jintao may not have been the most flamboyant or charismatic leader of modern China, but he played a crucial role in steering the nation through a pivotal stage in its rise as a global power, leaving behind a mixed but significant legacy in both domestic and international arenas.